Welcome to the Ask Lee segment of my channel. And if you have any questions regarding magic, spirituality, witchcraft, demonology, the occult, whatever it may be, then all you have to do is drop it into the comments of any of the Ask Lee videos and I will add it to the queue. And I do these every Wednesday, so just look out for your questions. Welcome to my channel. You are entering the world of magic and mysticism with your host, Lee W. Johnson. Keep the lights on and help improve the channel by becoming a supporter for just $2.99 per month. Hit the join button. Okay, before we get started, just a quick announcement. This coming Sunday at 3 p.m. GMT or UCT time zone, I will be doing the Covenstead live stream on this channel. It is scheduled, so you should be able to find it somewhere on my homepage on the YouTube channel, and you can just hit the reminder bell, and then it should send you an email as soon as we start the live. That's just going to be a general get together. There's nothing specific planned. There's no topics that I want to discuss. It's really just get together, hang out. If you've got any questions, you can ask them in the chat. If you want to just come along and say hello or just chat about anything really, it's really just a hangout. So as I said, no specific topic in mind. So just whatever comes up, comes up. So unless you want to watch me just staring at the screen for an hour, come along into the chat and ask some questions, make some comments, start a discussion, and it could be quite interesting. But whether it continues or not, I don't know. We'll see how that goes and then go on from there. All right, so first of all, there's a few questions from at RCBM, so I'm going to go through those today. All right, so the first one is, hi Lee, what's your opinion on witchcraft spells? Some say only the intent is important, as herbs, crystals, etc. are important only to convince your mind that you are actually doing a spell. And if you are mentally strong enough, you can do spells without any items. Others say that herbs and other things actually will make a spell necessary or fail. And when it comes to herbs, crystals, and other items, do they truly have a specific energy that it's useful for a specific thing? Or is it just us trying to think that, and then again trying to trick our mind into doing the job? Many thanks. All right, so this is going to, well, I would say largely depend on whether you have an animistic view or not, but it's not wholly the reason. I say that because in an animistic worldview, we believe that everything has a spirit. So every plant has a spirit, every rock has a spirit, every item, whether it's in your house, outside, in the garden, wherever it is, every single item has a spirit. So when we're working with something, we are working with the spirit, and the spirit comes along with a particular vibration or energy. And therefore, when we're working with it, we work with that energy and that vibration. So when we're doing witchcraft spells, when we're doing magic of any particular kind relating to that, whether it's healing or whatever it is, we are usually working with the energy of the item. So if you're working with crystals, you're working with a particular energy of the crystal, and from an animistic point of view, you are therefore working with the spirit of the crystal. If you are working with herbs and doing root work, you're working with the spirit of the plant. And even for somebody who doesn't follow an animistic worldview, some of this comes into play. Working with herbs and roots and things, they'll probably be working with the spirit of the plant. They may then move on to working with crystals and not believe that the crystal has a spirit, but it has a particular vibrational energy. So, they would be working with that energy itself. Is it all about intent? No. We do hear this a lot lately, that magic is all about intent. It's not. It's got a lot more to do with it. If it was all about intent, then every single person on the planet who has ever intended to be rich will be rich, and that will include everybody, every single human being, maybe barring Buddhists and such. But this is why magic is not just about intent. You don't just think something and it manifests. It has to do with will, with desire, with passion, with emotions. We can have an intention to do something, but if we do not have the will, the desire, the drive to push that energy forward, even to build it up and then throw it forward, nothing's going to happen. All we're going to do is just think about it. Obviously, when we talk about advancement in magic and witchcraft, when you become adept, you have to start watching your thoughts, because as you become more adept, thoughts can manifest instantly, because we have practiced, we have studied, we have gotten to the point where that whole doing a spell working, where you have to build up the energy and project it, and etc., can get to a point where it's just an instantaneous thing. So you do have to start watching your thoughts when you become adept, because there are some things we think about that we do not want to manifest. So but even when you become adept, there's no reason why you cannot work with items, with tools. Traditional witchcraft is very much based in physical tools, in working with your items, working with the spirit of those items. Because if you have a wand, or you have a stang, or whatever tool you have in your toolkit, there's a spirit attached to it, and that spirit is quite often, in that case, a familiar. So we work within the spirit model a lot in witchcraft. Some people don't. Some people do not work with the spirit model at all, and that's fine. You may just work with energy, or psychology, or whichever model. I am going to do the episode in the Paths series next week, Monday, about the different models of magic from Frata Udi. So that might explain a bit more with the whole spirit model versus the energy model versus psychology model, etc. So, but everybody works differently. Everybody has a different worldview. When it comes to working with items, it may be that their worldview is that they are working with the vibrational energy. Some may feel that they are working with the spirit of the item, and that's all perfectly valid. Do you need to work with the items? No. One of the first things I ever learned was that a good magician can sit in the middle of the desert naked with no paraphernalia and do powerful magic. And that's true. Does it mean that you do not need the tools? You don't need the tools, but you might want to work with the tools. Because, even if you can do the magic, there's no harm in adding extra energy to the working itself. So when you're working with the spirits of things, you are adding more energy. You are also, when you're working with the spirit of a thing, whether it be an item or whether it be a god or goddess, any kind of spirit, what you're also doing is you are aligning your own vibrational state to the vibrational state of the entity. So if you are working specifically or with a specific plant spirit, you will be bringing your own frequency into alignment with the frequency of the plant spirit, in order to vibrate at the same level, in order to get a particular work done. So, the spirits can help bring you into that vibrational state that you need to be in. They can also add to the energy that you're doing for the working. So, it's very good to work with the items. In some traditions, it's a necessity, and you want to work with the items in some traditions because, as I said, there are specific spirits and quite often familiars attached to the items. So you want to work with them because they're kind of like your workmates, your coven members. Even if you are a solo practitioner, if you are working with items which have spirits or familiars attached to them, that becomes your coven. So there's a whole load of ways we can have a look at this, but that's kind of basically it. Alright, so let's go on to the next question. That's if I can get my tablet to work properly. Here we go. Also from RCBM. Hi Lee again. Another question for you, sir. What do you recommend when things are the way you want them and don't really need to do any spell or anything specific? Should we figure something out and do some spells anyway regularly just to keep the practice of it going, or just do them when actually needed? I give offerings daily, every day to a specific demon, communicate with them often as well, read a lot about witchcraft, etc. I meditate daily. Is that enough to keep your practice going, or regular spells? And actually doing stuff regularly is important even when not needed. Thanks. Okay. Very important question, actually, and a very good question. And this actually usually comes up in money magic, because what we find there is we often do spell workings for emergency money. You may have a bad month, maybe your car broke down and it cost a lot of money and now you can't pay the rent or something like that, and you need some emergency money, you need a quick fix. And that's not really the way to go about it. What you should be doing is causing everything to flow on a constant basis. So even when things are going well, you still want that energy of goodness, of abundance, of everything to keep flowing in that way. You don't want it to kind of, you do a spell work and you're up here, and then all of a sudden it all comes down, and you've got to do another spell work and it comes up here, and then it's all the way down again. What you want to do is do spell work to get you up here and keep you up here. So once you're up here, keep the flow going. Keep it going, and so you don't come down. You're going to have moments when you're going to go up and down, but that's natural, that's normal. But that's the goal, is to keep that energy flow up here, up at the top, and don't let it come down again. Try not to. But it's keeping the flow going. So even when things are going good, you still need to keep working magic. You still need to keep doing the daily meditations and the daily practices, the offerings, the banishings, everything that you're doing, especially as you mentioned, working with the demons, speaking to them, giving the offerings, doing your daily meditations, etc. Those are very, very important, and not just to keep that flow of energy in the good state, in the good bracket, but also to keep your own vibrational state high so that you don't get attacked by astral parasites. Because if you stop doing the practice, your own energy starts to dip and it goes down into the lower vibrations, and then when you're in the lower vibrations, you're in the realm of the astral parasites. So you want to keep your vibrational state high through the meditation, the daily practice, and everything else. So yes, very important to keep going and keep the flow constant, rather than doing something sporadically and the energy levels just go up and down, up and down, up and down. Keep the energy flow going and at that vibrational level that you want it to be at. Okay. All right, that was a quick one. I think this is the last question from RCBM. Hi Lee, I have another question for you. I give regular offerings to different demons. I heard some people just make the offering and that's it, without actually calling the demon, just as a sign of respect, etc. I do like to call upon demons when making them offerings until I feel they are present. The problem is, most times I don't have a question to ask them as I call upon them often. So most times I just ask them to share their message with me, if they have any. Most of the times things are coming through. I can feel pressure surrounding me, my skin tingles in places. Sometimes I feel mild temperature changes, and then when I ask for a message, voices will come that I can hear in my head, things of encouragement, for example, or things I should do to have a good life, etc. Hopefully, I am truly communicating and not just imagining the whole thing. I just want to stop there and say I don't think you are imagining the whole thing. If you are feeling temperature changes, you are feeling tingling of the skin, those are physical manifestations, and those are good signs that it's really doing what it's supposed to be doing. Is this okay? Or the demons will think I'm a bit of a pain in the you know where for calling them often, but not really asking them many questions or things. Many thanks. Okay. They wouldn't. I don't think they would consider you to be a pain in the you know what. Again, coming back to how we view relationships with people, the same way we would with spirits. You call your friends up every now and again, and you say hi, how you doing? And you've got that one or maybe two friends that you speak to every single day, and you may not have anything important to talk about, but you just stay in contact. You just talk to them. You just tell them what's going on, and you bitch about things and everything else. Same thing, really. So, some people. It depends on what the person's been doing. I'll sometimes sit down with an offering and I'll chat to the spirits. Other times I may just put the offering down on the altar, because the altar is the place where I've built up a particular connection. So when I put an offering down on the altar, that connection's already been made. So I don't feel there is a need to sit down and do an invocation and things like that every single time. It may just be a case of just refreshing an offering, because there's always a constant offering on the altar, whether it's just water or whether it's something more specific. But there is that constant offering, so it's a refreshing of the offering, the connection with the spirit's already made with the altar, almost like I'm going to call it a nexus point. So there's no need to do an invocation every single time. Although I kind of do, because I do my morning practice when I refresh the offering, which involves saying good morning to them, doing a meditation, and then sharing some water with them. So in a way I am kind of doing that invocation, but it's not sit down and do a full invocation, chanting the N and pulling the energy in around me, and etc. etc. It is just making that connection with them on the altar. I'm just trying to have a look at the question again, because I think I've lost something. Oh yeah, no, they won't. I don't think they will think of you as being a pain in the arse. So even if you are sitting down with the demons every single day, you are giving them offerings, you are invoking them, and you are just talking to them. You've got nothing to ask them or ask for. You're just talking to them. You can tell them what your day's been like, the challenges you faced. And as you're talking, what might happen is you may think of something that you could maybe ask them for help with. Maybe you are talking about a particular challenge at work. It's not really something you need help with, but there may be something small you can tweak here and there. And it may not even be help from them. It may just be asking for advice on what to do, how to guide you. I often do this type of thing with the ancestors, rather than the demonic spirits or the gods and goddesses. It's just talk to them and ask for advice on particular matters. But yeah, no, it's just a case of getting in contact and having a chat, really. And maybe they want to tell you about their day. Time doesn't work exactly the same way, so it may be a bit different, but maybe they want to talk about how this particular spirit pissed them off. Who knows? You don't know until you actually sit down and chat with them. So yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that at all. You're good to go. Carry on doing that. That's fantastic. All right. So that is it for today. I just want to double check there wasn't another one. No. Next one is from Jake Colt 9783. So I'll do that one next week. Okay. Have a good one, and I'll see you then. And don't forget, Sunday, 3 p.m. GMT or UCT, live stream on this channel. It is already scheduled, so you can hit the reminder to remind you when we start. Okay. Have a good one until then. Cheers for now. Bye bye.